All right, breaking news. Crews on the scene right now of a large house fire in Wilson County. Things are getting a bit under control there, however. News Channel 5's Blake Rosnowski is on the scene. This is on Poplar Hill Road. And Blake, early on, there was a huge plume of dark smoke behind you, but now it's kind of dissipated. It looks like things are under control. Anyone hurt?
Nick, that's the good news out of all of this. Nobody was hurt. It wasn't a house, but it was very close to a house. It was actually inside of a workshop as well as a chicken coop. I actually just talked to somebody from the sheriff's department, and he tells me that this fire that they asked us to move back from a bit as they finish up here, that broke out because of a heat lamp. The owner says that he keeps a heat lamp right near the chicken coop, and he thinks maybe a mouse might have chewed the wire or something along those lines. That ended up sparking the fire, and then that went into a propane tank. The crazy thing is that the propane tank caught fire, but it didn't actually explode, and that could have just created a much larger issue, but obviously still a massive fire. We're also told that the structure in and of itself, the workshop, is a nursery, a plant nursery, and so they think some of the smoke has been caused from all of the plastic where you would hold some of those flowers and plants and things like that. But again, nobody inside, nobody hurt, just a very large fire that was made even more difficult to fight due to those propane tanks as well as these very cold temperatures. But things are getting more and more under control. As soon as we know anything else, we'll be sure to pass it along. Live in Watertown, Blake Rosnowski, News Channel 5.
And more breaking news this morning. Metro Police have made an arrest after an innocent man was shot and killed while bringing in his trash can.
Yes, the suspect in this case, a 16-year-old girl. News Channel 5's Dan Kennedy is at the smart screen. He's going to have the details. Another teen, my understanding, in big trouble. We've seen a lot of this lately, haven't we, Dan?
Yeah, in fact, this is the 12th juvenile to be arrested and charged with criminal homicide in 2017 in Nashville. Here's a look at some of their young faces, ranging from ages of 12, who we don't have a picture of, all the way to 17. The latest one is 16-year-old Maisha Brown. That was the young girl who was arrested overnight, now refusing to speak with detectives after her arrest. But police say it was weeks of intense work and numerous interviews that led them to her. They believe she is the teen who shot and killed 74-year-old Rusin Wong. He was shot to death outside of his Claiborne Street home back on November 9th while taking in his trash can. A shooting happening at 4 in the afternoon. There were witnesses who saw it. They told police there were several young people wearing hoodies who committed the crime and then ran across the street towards the J.C. Napier Public Housing Development. Detectives hopeful they'll identify the other people involved in that shooting, but for now they have 16-year-old Maisha Brown behind bars as the lone suspect this morning, being held at juvenile detention. Again, she's not talking, not cooperating right now, but they're hopeful she will at some point and could possibly help them out as they look to make more arrests. In the studio, Dan Kennedy, News Channel 5.
And breaking overnight, the suspects behind 2 recent Mid-State bank robberies are in custody. Cheatham County Sheriff tells us detectives solved the case last night. Those 2 robberies happened in Cheatham and Dixon counties. Investigators plan to release the suspects' identities, and some more information coming up this morning at 10. So download our free app for updates. Right now, police need your help solving a string of business burglaries in Murfreesboro. The Daily News Journal reports all those crimes happened on Old Fort Parkway. We're talking about Ultra Nails, Blue Cactus, and Fu Sing Restaurant, all reported break-ins with cash swiped from the register over the holiday weekend. If you know who did this, call Crime Stopper 615-893-STOP. And in Mount Juliet, police hope you'll recognize this guy. Surveillance video from the Vintage Wine and Spirits shows him putting a bottle of liquor in his pants and walking out. If you know who he is, call police.
Police are investigating after a deadly crash, this involving a pedestrian. Investigators tell us the homeless man ran into the road last night near the intersection of East Trinity Lane and Dickerson Pike. Not sure why. Now, the driver was unable to stop in time and at this time is not facing any criminal charges. Officers are working now to try to locate and notify the victim's next of kin. Lebanon police are investigating a deadly head-on collision right now. Officials tell us that Beverly McKinney died after her car crossed into oncoming traffic on Hartman Drive and slammed into a semi. Right now, it's unclear what caused the 59-year-old to swerve. No one else was hurt.
Happening today, the suspect in a bizarre arson crime spree will face a judge. Steve Comiskey allegedly started a fire, this one, you can't forget these flames, that destroyed a home on Halford Place in Hermitage back in November. And then later, police say they found Comiskey and his wife, Danny Jo, in Springfield trying to set their own van on fire. Video from Smoky Bar News shows the arrest. He will be in court this morning at 9:15.
This morning, the heat is back on for inmates at the Riverbend Prison. This after the maximum security facility lost its main heating source. That was on New Year's Day. Now, we're told about half of the prison right now is back to normal. Now, officials with the Tennessee Department of Correction say it was a valve malfunction, and that caused the loss of hot water pressure, which in turn knocked the boiler offline.
All right, this cold, snowy blast is impacting people trying to travel to the East Coast. Some flights have been canceled out of Nashville International Airport this morning.
That's exactly right. News Channel 5's Sophie Nielsen-Colding has been there all morning long at BNA. And do we have a count at this point right now, Sophie, just exactly how many flights canceled?
At last check, it was 21 canceled, 3 delayed. If you are heading to Baltimore, Boston, Charleston, Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey, you might want to check to see if your flight has been canceled. And here's why. Take a look. Snow going all up and down the East Coast this morning. A lot of places seeing that white stuff. You know, it's common for places like New York, Boston. But wow, when you see snow in places like Charleston, that's really something. Back out here live, here's the board in the airport with all of those delays and cancellations. So see a lot of flights still on time if you're going to somewhere like Miami or Denver. But if you are not, if you have a flight coming up later today, you can check online as well. I've actually got the website posted to my Facebook page, Sophie Nielsen-Colding, NC5, and that'll give you a list of all the flights heading out today from the Nashville International Airport. Let's send it over now to Rebecca Schleicher in the traffic center.